All right. We are back, and as promised, we should have a most interesting hour upcoming. By the way, if you watched the Steeler game last night, how about this? The Steelers' ratings actually beat out that of the World Series. That's the first time a regular season football game has ever defeated a World Series game. I thought that was pretty interesting. And I throw that out there because we're about to have a contentious, I hope not a contentious hour, I really don't. I hope we have an hour upcoming that will enable everyone listening to gain some insight into what has become a very, very, well, what other word can I use but contentious issue? And I don't know that it has to be. I'm talking, of course, about the Marcellus Shale. The Marcellus Shale came onto our radar screen here in Pennsylvania about 2 years ago. When I remember the first time I heard of it was an article in the Wall Street Journal saying Pennsylvania is sitting on a gold mine, potential gold mine of natural gas that could put a lot of people to work and solve a lot of tax problems and so on and so forth. A really good thing. Then slowly but surely, as the gas companies began to set up shop in Pennsylvania, you started to hear bits and pieces of, well, you know, maybe this isn't such a good thing from an environmental standpoint, and getting to the point where over the weekend we see full-page ads in the local newspapers saying that the Marcellus Shale is harmful to children and other living things. So let me start the show by getting all these guys on the line and briefly introducing them, and then I'm going to try to step back as far back as I can. I want to keep things rolling, but I want to step a little bit back and let some of this flow on its own. So let me start with a guy who I do know, the only guy on this whole thing that I'm have an acquaintance with, and that's my good friend Mark Laskow. Hey, Mark, how you doing, buddy? Are you there? Marcus? Maybe he's not there. Mark, are you there? Going once. Going twice. I guess not. So we don't have Mark. All right, well, let's go to line. I'll just leave that button depressed and see if he turns up. Let's go to line 3, and let's get Josh Fox on the line. Josh, are you there?
Yes, you're going to have to start off with a complete stranger.
I'll survive that, Josh. Actually, that's not true. You and I talked about an hour ago, so we have met.
I know.
Albeit briefly. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's great to be on.
I want to tell you, you produce a very dramatic movie. I watched your movie over the weekend. Not easy when you were watching 7 parts on the internet, but hold on one second. My producer's telling me I have to do something. What? Pound the button? Push it again. All right. Hang on there, Josh.
Okay.
All right. Let's try that. Mark, are you there? Nope. Nobody there, Daryl. All right. Kill the line. Okay. We're going to try to get Mark. Let's go.
I've had this problem many times.
I'm sure you have. How many talk shows have you been on since you made this film?
I couldn't possibly count.
Right. I know when I try to call you, whenever you call a guy and his voicemail says, if this voicemail box is full, send me a text, you know he's a busy guy. I should start using that myself. It's impressive. It seems like you're much in demand.
It works better.
Yeah. Josh, you're a native of Pennsylvania?
That is correct.
Okay, that's interesting. Way over on the other eastern side, right?
I'm right on the Delaware River in the northeast corner of Pennsylvania.
Got it. What's the nearest town to where you grew up?
Well, it's a town called Milanville. I guess the closest bigger town would be Honesdale. I'm right on the border of New York and Pennsylvania.
Gotcha.
A lot of people know of Calhoun or Narrowsburg. So I'm really a native of both Pennsylvania and New York.
All right. Cold winters and beautiful green summers, I'm sure.
Amazing.
All right. Okay, Josh, now stay put while I try to get Mr. Laskow again. Then we're going to get Chris Tucker. Don't worry, Chris, you're coming. Okay, let's try Mark again. Mark, are you there?
I am.
There you go. I don't know what happened there, buddy.
I brought all my tremendous radio announcer expertise to bear on disconnecting myself.
We did a fine job. Now, Mark Laskow, those who listen to this show regularly know that Mark and I go way back, known him for, about a decade and a half now, and he is presently CEO and Managing Director of Gray Court, which is a organization that helps wealthy families invest their monies, and has built that. Prior to that, though, Mark was at the Hillman Company, where not only did he get involved in managing numerous businesses other than energy businesses, he spent a lot of time in the energy field, and in fact, a lot of time on site at oil sites, primarily in the South and Southwest. So Mark is an oil guy, and if you recall last spring and summer when the whole thing was coming apart down in the Gulf, Mark was able to kind of give us a play-by-play and actually helped us become really the leading radio show in Pittsburgh insofar as knowledge about that blowout was concerned. So, Mark, welcome to the show, and say hi to Josh Fox.
Hi, Josh.
Hi, how are you?
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, I have you seen the movie, Mark?
I have.
Okay, I'm sure you have. Yes,
in the
absolutely.
nick of time, but I've seen it.
Yeah, same thing with me. Yeah, I have every intention of getting ahead someday, but I never do. I watched the last frame of it maybe 10 minutes before I started the show today. All right, let me get Chris Tucker on the line. Chris, are you there?
I am there.
All right. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. I understand that you and Josh Fox have met before.
Not that we are physically met. We met over the on TV.
We haven't ever actually been in the same room.
Oh, interesting. How many times have you been on the same telephone call?
Well, you see, as I'm sure, you probably placed calls to gas industry executives who refused to go on with me, and they probably carted out Chris Tucker, who is an industry PR spokesman working for a group called EnergyInDepth that the gas industry has been attacking the film through.
Are you saying Chris?
Unfortunately, I've had to be on the air with Chris Tucker, I don't know, probably half a dozen times, because no one in the gas industry is willing to actually debate me, which would be nice at this point if they would actually come up.
Let me start with that then, Josh. That's a great question. That's not the first question I was going to ask you, but why not? Why is it that? And in point of fact, the guy that we originally asked to come on was a oil and gas company owner, and he claims to have a conflict in appointments. And next thing I know, Chris Tucker is here, and I'm okay with that. But let me ask that question right up front. Why is it that, in your opinion, the oil and gas executives themselves, every time you try to get a hold of one of them, you end up talking to Mr. Tucker?
Well, I think that right now it's obvious that there's a huge problem with unconventional gas development, both in terms of water contamination, air pollution, health problems. I've been asking these guys to sit in a room with me for a long time since I started to make the film, and they have not granted me an interview. And I think there's a very active sense of either we know there's a problem and we don't want to talk about it, or we're in denial that there's a problem, so let's let Chris Tucker talk about it. I think that the problem is that none of these companies want to accept responsibility. They don't want to act in a way that's accountable. And this is the same thing that they do to families. It's not just to people in the media like myself, but also families that are complaining. They'll make them jump through hoops and talk to spokesmen and talk to people who are out there basically being paid to show for the gas companies rather than actually come forward and say, this is our company. What's your grievance? What are we doing wrong? Can we listen to you? It goes through a PR firm or some kind of an attack machine, and that's what Chris Tucker really represents.
Chris, let me ask Chris. Chris, who pays you? Are you paid by the oil and gas companies?
Yeah, EnergyInDepth was created a couple years ago now, and it's a project that was put together by the Independent Petroleum Association for America. So, mostly the small and independent oil and gas producers in the country. I'd say that Josh has some trouble finding individual gas company folks to sit down with because our guys actually work for a living. We have to actually do stuff during the day that's actually productive in creating, natural gas and generating that and delivering it. I think you find out that you look through this thing and you find what our guys are doing. Our guys are participating in community meetings. They're actively interfacing with DEP and the other regulators, submitting information to federal regulators when asked. I mean, our guys are more than happy to sit down with legitimate folks who have legitimate concerns and work through them. But Josh is a bit of a huckster, and we're going to find out here over the next couple minutes. How his assertions square with the reality situation.
I'm really having a problem hearing what Chris is saying.
Well,
I don't know if you guys can hear him well, but
yeah, I don't know how we can fix that problem, other than perhaps everybody's going to have to speak up as much as possible. In effect, Mr. Tucker said that his people the owners of these oil and gas companies are working or attending community meetings, things of a productive nature, and they really don't have time during the day to talk to you. And that it sounded also that he implied that you may not be a credible guy to talk to anyway. I think he called you a huckster. I'll tell you what, let me do this. I got to take a quick break. And let me get that break out of the way, and then we'll have about 27 minutes of uninterrupted air where we can talk these things through. Josh, I just want to ask you one quick question before we go to the break.
Sure.
Were you paid to make GasLand?
No.
Okay. All right.
I was not. In fact, I made it on my own initiative, my own money.
Okay.
And it's exactly how it is in the film. I learned about this
when you got a letter.
Yep.
Okay, I got to take a break, guys, but stay with me. We'll be right back. This is the American Entrepreneur, AM 1360. I've got Mark Laskow, Chris Tucker representing the oil and gas industries, and Josh Fox, the producer and director, GasLand. Stay with us, folks.
Stocks erase an earlier advance.
Okay, we are back, and I'm Ron Morris. This is the American Entrepreneur. Thanks for tuning us in today. If you've seen the movie GasLand, we have its producer, director, and writer. His name is Josh Fox. He's a Pennsylvania native, and he is on the line with us, along with our good friend Mark Laskow, who's our resident oil and gas guy here on the American Entrepreneur, and Chris Tucker, representing Chris, I apologize. I had it written down in front of me. Your organization is called EnergyInDepth, correct?
EnergyInDepth. And by the way, Ron, I'm a Pennsylvania native as well.
Oh, are you?
Also from the Northeast.
Oh.
They're the whole year round, though.
Where in the Northeast did you grow up, Chris?
Luzerne County.
Okay, so you guys probably could have been friends growing up, you and Josh.
About that.
All righty. And Josh, let me ask you, I was looking at you in the film. What are you, late 30s, early 40s kind of thing? I hope I'm not embarrassing you there. I have no idea.
I'm 38. In fact, I tell people that in the very beginning of the film. I say in 1972, the year I was born.
Oh, I missed that.
It's the same period of time that the Safe Drinking Water Act, the Clean Water Act, and the Clean Air Act, and the EPA were created all in the early 70s by Richard Nixon. So there's a parallel there in terms of my lifespan and the span of those acts, which, of course, natural gas industry is exempt from.
Well, all right. There's another good point. I happened to read a rebuttal of GasLand, or a critique of GasLand by Mr. Tucker, and I think you would disagree with that, wouldn't you, Chris?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, the Safe Drinking Water Act was passed in 1974. At that point, hydraulic fracturing, which is the key technology needed to produce the shale from the Marcellus, at that point, fracturing had been around for about 25 years. So the Safe Drinking Water Act is passed in 74. Had no mention of hydraulic fracturing in that bill. The Safe Drinking Water Act is amended in 80, amended in 84, amended in 88, amended in 90, amended in 94, amended in 98, amended in the year 2000. Never a mention of hydraulic fracturing. Fracturing is never in its history been regulated under that act. So when Josh says that it's exempt from the rule and there's a loophole and everything else, you show me a point when that was actually regulated under that bill, and then we could have that conversation. You won't find it.
Well, that's documented very well in our rebuttal to energy and in our rebuttal to your attack on the film. Look, it's clear the natural gas industry doesn't want people to see this film, or they want to smear it as much as possible.
Josh, I've seen it 15 times. I have no problem.
GasLand the Movie. Let me finish my sentence. If you look at our website, GasLandTheMovie.com, there is a button you can click on called "The Truth Behind GasLand," in which it points out a federal case, it's an Alabama court case in which it clearly states, it was Leaf versus Alabama, that hydraulic fracturing was to be regulated under the Safe Act, and I think it's 2001. Now,